Hello, everyone. Steve here, back with a little bit different type of baseball video. What I have here is a PowerPoint that I was going to start and document with screenshots of my attempt to use AI to do some baseball research. And I looked at three different AI tools and typed in a question. I used Perplexity AI. Microsoft Copilot, which is resident on my computer due to my Microsoft 365 subscription, and ChatGPT. That became very cumbersome, and so what I decided to do is just show you my searches that I did and the results. So first, we're going to go to Perplexity AI. And the question I asked is, which 1972 National League batter best represents the average National League batter that season? And why would you ask that question? Well, you would ask that question because a lot of times when you're doing player cards, you're doing it in reference to the average batter. And sometimes it's useful to have a specific batter in mind so you can test certain matchups of players against the average batter or the average pitcher. Anyway, I typed this question into Perplexity. I failed to put the question mark at the end, but it knew it was a question. So Perplexity tells me what approach it wants to take and gives me the statistics for the average player, the average batter. And it reached a conclusion that Earl Williams was the average batter, or the best average batter, although Bobby Bonds maybe even was a better fit. If I'm not mistaken, the first time I used Perplexity, it told me Tommy Helms was the best batter. And yeah, it told me Tommy Helms was the best batter, or the best matchup for the average batter. So that was kind of interesting. I mean, it looks at batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, and home runs, and that's probably a reasonable way to do it. I think in the next order, I did ChatGPT. And the first time I did ChatGPT, it told me the approach that it took, very similar to what we saw before. I wanted to make sure that as somebody who qualified for the batting title, and in this case, ChatGPT came up with Tommy Helms. Now, interestingly, his batting average was 259. The league average was 248. I think when you get to slugging, it's not the best match, or on base percentage plus slugging isn't the best match. And Tommy Helms only had one home run. I'm not sure that that's representative of the average batter. As I was going through this process, I put the same question into ChatGPT again, and it kind of gave the answer in a different form, but ultimately came up with Jose Cruz with a 235 batting average. And then it also suggested Don Money, but it said Jose Cruz was the best match. Interestingly, Don Money only had a batting average of 222. But anyways, it thinks that Jose Cruz is the best match. Now they do talk about refining it, and I think I might have told it to emphasize batting average, and then it came up with Tommy Agee, who had a batting average of 246 versus 248. So now it concludes that Tommy Agee is the best match, and you can kind of see some information here. Although here it says that Tommy Agee's batting average was 227. Not sure that that's entirely accurate. So I'm a little confused. Lastly, I went to Microsoft Copilot, and maybe this is actually what I did second. But anyways, it gave me an answer, and if I'm not mistaken, it maybe gave me a different answer than it did before. It's definitely in a different format, but in this case, it gives me Don Kessinger with a 274 batting average, which again is way above the league average. And Copilot does give you a chance to refine the answer. Let me just double check one last thing. I think the first Copilot, the first Copilot gave me Kessinger and Singleton. I asked it to refine the result, and I think I asked it to refine the result based on batting average. I'm getting a little confused here as to what's what, but in any case, this was my first attempt really to use AI to do some baseball research. I'm not convinced we're quite there yet, depending on the type of question you're trying to ask. I do remember, I think for a certain video, that I tried to ask it a question, this very similar question, or I tried to determine this question when I was doing a video, and ultimately I didn't find a good batter who was a good match for the average batter in 1972. And I think I ended up actually using a batter from 1973 for my analysis. Anyway, don't want to belabor this. Sorry if this was a little confusing, but I just wanted to give you a taste for what's out there in terms of the AI chatbots and baseball.